Stavros Halkias, welcome back to the American Glutton podcast.
Thank you for having me, big dog. I appreciate it, man.
I've had a bunch of like PhDs and like doctors and a bunch of them on repeatedly, but I think you are my only like 3-time guest of like just guys I like to talk to who don't have like deep scientific
not
data
at all.
still.
Yes.
But you have a lot of anecdotal data.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sort of an anecdotal scientist when it comes to getting fat as shit. if the fact that that's one of the main tenets of this podcast is getting very fat. I'm in the field, brother.
You're doing God's work.
Yeah. I've been living like Jane Goodall. I've been in the community my whole life. So yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, we've talked about this we talked about a lot on the episode on the podcast, but we talked about it a little bit off. And I want to talk to you about this getting fat. Like because I've had swings that are your entire weight combined. Right. Like I understand a big swing like that.
Yes.
And it can be really demoralizing. And then there's part of me today that goes like, I actually, there were many points in my last iteration of weight loss simply because I kind of cut myself a break and I decided like, I'm not going to do this really fast. And I'm not going to have this like self-flagellation, you know what I'm trying to say.
Flagellation.
Like, flagellation.
Yeah.
It's not about like punishing myself into being better. It's about just like doing shit that I know is going to work, but it's going to take a while and it's a slower process. And I like go like, that's not so bad.
Yeah, no, totally. And so even like the main impetus, it's funny because I feel like you have really caught me. Like I've been on the podcast at very interesting like times. Like if you check in, it's like, this is not for a podcast that like, you know, a lot of it is figuring out what works for you. It's like my narrative on this podcast, if you were to put it together, is the exact opposite, right? Where it's like the first time I was on, I had finally felt like I got nutrition and working out and everything I did. I felt great about it. And I had about like 6 months of really living the way I wanted to. And it happened to coincide with the pandemic. So it was like my job, I'm a stand-up comic. Effectively, my job was gone, right? Yeah. And the way I had lived since I've been doing stand-up since I was 19, the way I lived, the late nights, the eating like shit, the getting fucked up, that was taken from me. And once the initial, you know, we all were really scared at the beginning, but once that faded and you realize like, basically I just can't do stand-up. The way it affected my life was basically I just can't do stand-up for a year. It turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me because I got to just live like a regular motherfucker. I got to have like 8 hours of sleep. I had the time to look at my own, like, you know, to cook. And of course it helped. I think like if, you know, people with addict brains or like it, I also, during the beginning of the scary part of the pandemic, I did hit like a rock bottom where it was just like, you're ordering out constantly, you're doing a bunch of so I felt bad about it felt like bad enough about myself that I used that, you know, which is not a clean form of like, you know, motivation, but it works, right? We've all been there where it's like sometimes you just feel bad enough that you're like, I have to make a change. And for the first time in my life, I had the time and the resources. First time in my life, I had the time and the resources to make that change. And that's kind of when I came on the podcast and I felt awesome. And then it's like, okay, well, stand up starting. I've lost a year of earnings. I've lost a year of artistic development. I felt like I was kind of in my prime. So the next time we talked, I was right on the edge of starting this huge tour, right? I think I had started a little bit and, you know, a couple of my habits were slipping a little bit, but I was still, you know, I was still walking a bunch. I was still working out at the hotel gyms. And I had this grand plan where I was going to like, I was going to like have my cake and eat it too. Where it's like, I'm going to go on the road, but you know, it's not going to be too bad. I'll stay in LA and I'll work out there and all this stuff. And since then it's been 9 months since that tour. And it turned out that was very naive. I was like, I thought I was a lot further along. I'm talking to you who's figured it out. And I remember we had that first, we had that first podcast and I was like, oh, it just feels good to stupidly. I was like, yeah, me and Ethan, we get it. Where it's like, you've been through it like 100 times. You've lost so much more weight than me. You've gotten so much more, you did so much more shit. And the one thing that sticks in my head where I was like, I said I had replaced like eating ice cream with like, you said you had replaced it with like doing deadlifts or whatever, doing lat pull downs. And I was like, yeah, me too. And then it turns out I was still very much an ice cream and pills guy. It's just something I had not fully, I was cheating on ice cream.
Yeah.
Lat pulls down. You know what I mean? It was like lat pull down were like my mistress. But my wife, she
called you back. You went back to her.
Yeah, I went back to ice cream and it fucked. And dude, I'll be honest, I'm basically back to where I was weight wise at the before I started the weight loss of the pandemic. Like I am at the point that I said to myself when I had lost all that weight, I don't want to get back. I never want to get back there. I'll do whatever it takes never to get back there. And that was naive too, because it's like, I can't, like, life just fucking gets in the way. Right. And it's like, especially when you have a weird job and you have a weird career, and because this also professionally has been the best year of my life, but it has been health-wise probably the worst, right? Because I was on the road 9 months in a row. I wanted to film a special. I did that. I released a special. It did really well. Go check it out. It's on YouTube for free, guys. Live at the Lodge.
It's incredible. You got to check it out.
I appreciate it. And there actually is a lot of like stuff about dealing with the weight loss and all that stuff. So there's plenty of that. I achieved everything I wanted, and I also wanted to and I was making money for the first time in a real way on the road. My fan base was expanding because of all this like social media stuff I was doing. And I accomplished a lot of professional goals, but I learned how quickly, how easy it is to sacrifice personal health when you have a reason, right? Like if my career wasn't going good, maybe I would have went back to being a workout guy. Cause it's like, well, what am I doing this for? If my health is important. But then when when I had something to gain, I was like, oh, fuck that. Fuck my health. It's like, oh yeah, let's add an extra weekend. I don't need to take the time off and sleep and eat home cooked meals. Fuck it. I'll just add San Diego. I'll eat fucking burritos and get fucking high all day. Whatever, who cares? And so that's what I realized was just like, I had it figured out in a perfect world. And it's just like, once any temptation to stray, once you could rationalize it to yourself, like, well, this is good for my career. Right. Like, it's like, once there was a reason, I was like, fuck it. Like, and then it's like, and then it's just like, once one of those habits goes, you know what I mean? Once you have that first, you're at a comedy club and they don't have grilled chicken sandwich, they have a fried chicken sandwich. You're like, all right, I'll do that. And then before you know it, it's like you're ordering chicken tenders as a side. You're ordering meals as sides again. And you know what I mean? You're doing well, you get a burger and chicken tenders and you're like, well, it's better than potatoes. Right. It's white meat. Yeah. So they're both fried. Right. And then you're like, and then they don't have chicken tenders. You're like, well, I want some fried chicken. So why don't I get a burger and a chicken sandwich? You know what I mean? And then it's like, the bun, instead of eating no buns, you're like, I could eat half a bun. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's over, dude. Once you start doing that shit, the slippery slope we've all been on. And so, and the reason we're talking now is because I texted you because I listened to the episode with Nick Cassavetes, which was fucking great. And I've always liked, I thought he's an awesome director. And it was cool to hear you. I didn't realize you guys were boys like that, but it was just cool to that idea that he had where it's like, just realize like, it's fun to gain weight sometimes. Your life when you're doing that is good. And it's also fun to get in the gym. It's fun to I loved that period of my life where I had dedicated enough time, that I could do it. And that really helped me, honestly, in a real way, because I really was feeling down about myself. It's never been about how I looked. It's always been about how I felt. I was feeling worse. I was getting to the point where like, I'm really lucky that I was adding shows on the road, but you're doing 8 shows in in a weekend and you're there Thursday through Sunday, you're in hotels, there's no way to get good food. And I just gotten to the point where, and I'm depressed because I'm away from home and I haven't seen my friends and my relationships are fucking crumbling. Basically, you can't date someone when you don't live anywhere for a year. And I'm just sad. And then that reinforces it and you turn to food and you turn to drugs again. And I was really down on myself for just allowing that to happen. And then just hearing the way that, you guys were talking about it, you and Nick were talking about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, did this go too far? Did I let I get to the point where I'm not even enjoying it anymore, where it just feels like a chemical need to have ice cream, or I start literally getting the shakes. Yeah, I let it get too far. But that made me feel better because I was like, but you know what? The first 6 months of the tour, I hadn't gained that much weight. Sure, I'd put on a little bit, but I was living great. I was having a fun time. And if I just was more cognizant of that, and instead of, and even that, I was kind of ignoring it. And I was like, oh, I'm either doing good or I'm doing bad. Right. You're always thinking in that binary. But if I had just realized, like, first leg of the tour, I gained like 15, 20 pounds. If I just been like, that was really fun. And it was fun to go out. I'm in Portland, or these cities I love, where it's like, it's fun to go
Great
out,
food too.
great food towns, and just like, and enjoy a nice meal, enjoy a nice steak. But then I was also working out. Like, I didn't feel bad because I was still hitting the elliptical. I was still going on hikes. I was still lifting at maintenance, but not trying to hit my, not trying to like increase my numbers, just trying to maintain. And I was obviously gaining more because I was just like working out in maintenance, but I was eating more than I should have. And if I had just not gotten discouraged by that and just said to myself, that's what was going to happen. It was a fucking blast. I had great food. I got to fucking, I was smoking weed, smoke a little weed, fuck some girls on the road. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, just see that as like an awesome time.
Right.
And then be like, all right, well then let's go have a good time and like clear out a month and just like take a little retreat and like go back to lifting weights, which I love, which felt good, but instead I let it snowball slowly. The maintenance workouts get fewer and far between. The lifting weights starts to go. You have an injury that just, and I'm like, well, and then the walking stops. And then it's like, and then you're just like in your hotel room and you're setting a fucking alarm for 7 p.m. so that you can just shower hungover and make it to your 7:30 show 10 minutes. Like, I was just getting to the club as the opener was like 5 minutes. I didn't want to spend any more time than I needed to. I'm just like hungover as shit, just getting on stage, doing it, napping in the green room and ordering tenders in between, just like literally I'm only conscious for like 6 hours a day. And I'm doing comedy and getting fucked up during that time. And then I'm like, that got a little too far. We did it too much. But it's like, thinking of it in those terms, for someone like me, I listened to how you guys were describing it, and especially how Nick was describing what he liked to do. And it's like, I'm not as extreme as that. I'll never be. I mean, I'm fine. I don't even not want to be fat, honestly. Like, truly, it's like, it's a health thing for me more than anything. But like, there's a thing I want to get to. There's something, and whatever that is for me, and feeling like I'm making that progress felt really good. But also, like, I'll be honest, the first 2 months of not doing it felt a lot better.
Yeah.
Feels a lot better to get fucked up and you're still healthy. Like, the first little stretch of a relapse is the best a human being can feel. I think we've said that before, where it's like, because you still have all the good habits and your body hasn't like deteriorated yet.
It's not destroyed. It's not destroyed. It's all patched up and you're like strong. Nothing's gonna hurt you. Yeah.
There might be a little dents, but you could buff those out easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now I'm just like, I'm one of those Honda Civics with the check engine light for 6 months. I'm like, I'm going 40 miles an hour, just rumbling on the highway. I'm like, that's the car I am now. You know what I mean? So let's not get there, but then let's also realize, like, life ain't fucking perfect, and you're just so that, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm a rambler, but
no, I love it.
Huge for me. That was huge for me, and that really made me feel better. And it kind of makes me think, like, this is a way to organize my life,
Yeah, I get stressed out even when I think about any deviation from my schedule, right?
Yes.
causes me anxiety. And I go like, okay, now I have to figure out my schedule within this new schedule. Like I went and did a movie with Nick last year. We were in Mexico for 4 months. And I basically did it. Like I was such an asshole about my food and like sending
Right.
food back and going like, I can't eat this, get the oil off it, get the sauce. Like I just
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
chicken. Um, and then I found a gym in every little town we went to. There was one point where I was taking a cab 30 minutes to get to a gym in
Wow.
the middle of Mexico,
Wow.
like
Wild.
tumbleweeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
dudes in there looking at me like, what are you doing here? Why
Right,
are you
right,
here?
right. This is a front. This is a front business.
Yeah,
This is so
this
the
is not a
cartel
real
doesn't get
gym.
audited. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then there's another part of me that goes like, you know, I didn't look. I'm also an old man. I'm a grandfather. You're a
Yeah.
young guy.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you very much. But
Cute kid.
I've done what you're talking about having done, and I think it is not beneficial to sit in remorse about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the deal. Like I don't need to do that again, but I
Right.
do. My version of that is like if my family's going to go on vacation, this is a much shorter period of time. Do I have to go to the gym every day? And do I have to eat perfectly cleanly for every meal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'm subjecting them to that. When we're at
Of
home,
course. Yeah.
it's just what it is. And then I'm not just experiencing the trip. And so my version of what you're talking about, but I can also have the wheels come off by the end where I go like, I'm going to eat mostly clean and have one meal off. And then at the end of the trip, it's like, let's get waffles as an appetizer for breakfast.
Oh, but believe me, I was in Philly. So the last 2 weekends was Philly and Providence, and I'm ordering like French toast for the table. And
Right.
it's like, and it's like, we all know who's eating 85% of that French toast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when you're doing that, when you're the fat guy who's also paying for the meal, and
Right.
you can say, well, I want my friends to have a good time. I'm going to order 4 appetizers. And it's like, they all have one each. And you're like, I'll have, I'll fucking get the wing. You know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah.
I was going buck wild, but yeah, I totally see what you're saying where, and again, you have a fucking serious base of like, this is like I think a really good way to think of it is momentum. You know what I mean? Is like inertia. And it's like, you're this like, you've been traveling at this constant speed and you're just like, you can get little shit can be thrown at you, little rocks, little other shit can be thrown at you. But you're not going to get knocked off course easily. Right.
No.
Whereas like for me, what I didn't realize was like, I was going fast, right? Because I was losing weight at the clip that's like, as fast as you can lose it and be healthy, right? Like I was really, cognizant about my diet, 2 pounds a week, kind of that kind of shit of like, but I was eating really clean. It was just like, it's possible to do when that's all you focus on. But I didn't have the fucking, the track record. My little comet, like the littlest thing could knock me off course, right? Like one little pebble, one little whatever. It was not like as strong. It was not as strong, I didn't have the history for it. And I think that's really what's very important. And I think like, again, to the conversation you guys had was really important to me was like, I think this is a way that I can maintain this kind of like consistency where it's like, I know that I can improve my like habits and I can be focus on health first and foremost for a certain period of time. Like for example, actually I'm going to Baltimore in 2 days and I'm going to spend a month. My little brother has a gym. My brother's a great strength coach. You should look him up. If anybody's in the Maryland area, go to Odyssey Strength. He's awesome. I'm really proud of him. He was a trainer at a different gym and he started his own business and he's super talented. And I'm just going to go, work out with him. I've rented an apartment because I don't even want to be around. I was like, I love my family, but it's like, this is about like meal prepping. Like I want nothing on the docket. I'm taking 2 months off stand up, where it's just all I'm doing is focusing on myself. And dude, I'm as excited as I would be to go to fucking Greece for 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Like I really am, like, because that does fulfill a part of you where you're just like, because I think a lot of like gaining weight and everything is just life getting in the way, and is like, and especially when it's easy for you to give into those, when that's your vice, because I think like at the end of the day, I've done everything you can do. Nothing affects me like food. You know what I mean? Like, even I haven't done heroin, but I've done, the pills, that it's basically the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've never tied up, but it's like I've had a couple oxys come my way. You know what I mean? It's like I can quit those a lot easier than fucking wings and a Ben and Jerry's pint. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited to do that. And I think like thinking of it that way, where it's like, you know, look, this is what my life is going to be like. I'm a touring comedian. There's no way around it. This is how I make my living. There's going to be times where it's just impossible to be, like you're saying, in that time frame when I was losing a lot of weight. I was the exact same way about my like routine. And there's going to be times where that routine is just going to be fucking gone. And instead of trying to half-ass it and do it half the way, just realize, no, you're fucked for these next couple months, right?
Right.
But come off the tour and plan a month where you can overcorrect the other way and enjoy yourself. Go right into a fitness little sabbatical. And then the next couple months where you're just kind of in the middle, where you're like, I'm going, maybe I'm going 1 weekend a month. Maybe I'm shooting something that'll be a little, but it's like at the end of the day, I'm still at home. Then that's when you can kind of like do the best you can and have realistic, like, realistic goals. But just understand sometimes that's not going to be possible. And don't, like you said, don't self-flagellate. And in fact, enjoy it. Like, enjoy the whole thing. I think I'm very hopeful anyway. Like, obviously I'm talking like I've done it already, but it really helped me because, I was at a very low point and the tour was ending and I just felt down on myself, and hearing that. And now with the tour done, I'm really excited to give that a fucking shot. Like, I can't tell you how excited I am to go literally fucking do body weight squats for two weeks until I can handle like weights again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm pumped, bro. I really am.
Well, the other interesting thing is, like, as I think through it, if I thought about like designing a week of eating food, if I could eat whatever I wanted, it's not gonna be McDonald's and chicken tenders every night.
Right,
That's
right.
on there for sure.
Of course,
that's like
of
a
course.
day or a meal or something.
100%.
But then I even wonder, like, if I'm giving myself the pass, could I potentially wind up actually making, if I'm going like, no, I want to really enjoy this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might actually wind up making better decisions simply because when I'm doing something that I believe to be wrong, it almost becomes something where I'm just like putting on blinders. So I'm not seeing myself do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just get this in my body as fast as possible and not really think about it. And I think I mean, who fucking knows? Like, I don't feel safe enough to really do this myself. And I'm not certainly not recommending everybody go out and do it. But like, some part of my rational mind goes, I think if I'm going to take the shame out of it, I might be more capable of making a couple more decisions, rather than just, because like I think about a trip to McDonald's right now and just going buck wild. And then I go like, I wouldn't feel good after. And I don't need to eat that for every meal, it becomes unenjoyable at some point.
Totally. Yeah. A trip to McDonald's right now, it's like you fuck it. Like, I remember those. I remember I remember eating in my car before I got home. And it's like a trip to McDonald's right now. I'd feel like when like a Republican senator gets caught getting sucked off by one of his like gay aides. And it's like, I would feel like just a guy who's been caught, and I'd be like, I'm so sorry for my wife, to the church, to everyone I've let down. You know what I mean? Like, you're right. But I think I totally know what you're saying, because that's how I approached those first couple months. Like, what you're describing is the difference between the beginning of my tour, where it's like I I was looking up like Michelin star restaurants, right?
Right.
And some of that's like just sushi. You know what I mean? Some
Sure.
of that was like
It's on
grass
the
fed.
plan.
It's
Yeah.
steak. Yeah, there was a lot of it that was just like a steak salad, which is fine. It's good, literally good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like not bad for you. And then cut to this last weekend, and I'm just like, I'll go to fucking Wawa. I'll eat, you know what I mean? It's like they don't have the flavor I want, but I'm still eating an entire pint. It's like I wanted a cheesesteak. The cheesesteak place is closed. I'll get a Wawa hoagie and I'll get chicken tenders. I'll go to 7-Eleven. It's just like, what am I doing? Or that horrible trip to the classic fat guy move when you've really given up is just like the little hotel grocery store kiosk thing where you're like,
Yes.
all
You got to
right,
microwave half of
yeah,
it.
yes. I'll have a fucking a sausage, like a frozen sausage sandwich, and I'll have 4 bags of little Doritos, and I'll take Reese's Pieces and M&Ms and combine them in my mouth at the same time because I really wanted some fucking peanut butter ice cream or whatever the fuck. And it's like that's not fucking that's the huge, and it's like, and that's also when you put on more weight because all that stuff is like that gets to you, you know? And it's like the difference between an entire pint because it's there and like a nice scoop of gelato because I'm having a great afternoon. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's like, and so again, that was, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it's just like, I fully agree with you. And it's like, it's a difference between like just having a good time. It's being on vacation and just going addict mode, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
that's really what it is. It's like, it's not, I think there's a distinction between behavior that makes you gain weight and behavior that makes you fall back into your worst habits. And
I
I
think
think
so too.
that's the line, right?
Yeah.
When it's okay to gain weight, it's not okay. Even if you maintain like, it's possible to be, it's possible to like be eating unhealthy and maintaining your weight. Let's say you overdo it with exercise, or let's say you do other unhealthy habits. Like the weight is not the issue. It's how you're behaving, how you feel, you know. I think that's the interesting thing, and that's the interesting distinction that I'm, gonna try and make going forward. But it's hard.
Yeah, I think Nick would say, "Fuck that, go all the way, go nuts, be an addict, and have fun and
Right.
enjoy it." And I go like, "Okay, Nick, that's fine. It's not really safe for me to do that, but if you can do that, go ahead."
And I see that too. I think that's because I also think that's again, I don't know the guy, you guys are friends. I don't know him very well at all. I don't know him personally at all. I just kind of am familiar with his work, and I heard that one interview or whatever. But he seems like the kind of guy who enjoys doing that, right? Like to
Yeah,
him, that's what enjoyment is
yeah,
fucking going balls to the wall. Whereas like to me, those nights I don't like those nights. I don't feel good when I do
right.
that. Whereas like I do go into a fucking Greek restaurant, ordering lamb chops, having a fucking flagon of the fucking shitty house wine, and then like having a fucking ice cream scoop. I feel great. I feel
Yeah,
awesome the next day, and it's like that's what it is for me. And again, it is truly never visual, unfortunately. Like I don't even have that like backstop where it's like, Jesus Christ, look at yourself. It's like I always think I look awesome.
yeah,
Like I always think I look, and I think there is a like, and truly it's like there is definitely a type of just like, I think that's coming back. Big fat guy that believes in himself with some fucking gold jewelry. There was
yes,
like, it's like hotter. It's like the fatter I get, hotter women want to fuck me, and it's a strange thing. And because because I do think there's like all of these women that like there is that like archetype of like big fat guy, like, and it's like in movies it's usually like a mafia guy or some kind of crooked businessman, and just like
right.
some fucking hot bimbo on his arm. And I think there's a lot of women that like to fancy themselves that hot bimbo, like who
Right.
like and it's like that, like, I don't want to get too blue on the program, but I definitely had a moment where I'm like, what am I fucking? It's like this girl's awesome. My dick is one third hard right now. It's like I can't do that. I can't live like this.
Yeah,
It's like and it's like it'll never be. It's not. It's like what I'm subjecting her to this, but it's like I'm just not healthy enough to have sex with a hot ass girl, and it's like that's the problem. It's like I can't even see. I'm just. I can't see what's going on down in the stomach. Is like a natural. It's like you feel like you're behind a tall guy at a concert when you have sex, where you're just like, what's going on there? You know what I mean? It's like I've gotten to that point where I'm like, all right, man. Well, this isn't the issue. It's just like you feel like shit. That's the problem. It's like you can make this happen, and it's like, which is an issue because usually that's people are just like, well, girls won't even talk to me. And it's like,
that would be it. I mean, dude, if I go back to prior to being single, that would, I mean, it would have been a mixture of that and just my comfort in public. Like, but it all came down to, why do I want to be comfortable in public? To talk to girls. That's it.
Right.
That's the whole game. And I could always be a friend. I was always a good buddy. You want to talk to somebody, I'm the one to talk to, but that's where it stops. And it was miserable. So like, I do not, like, even through this conversation, and God, I wish you luck, and I cannot wait to see you grilling chicken thighs on your
can't wait, dude. It's coming.
Your balcony.
Yeah. And I'm upgrading the grill. You better believe.
Okay,
we're getting a bigger grill.
I mean, I watched you through the pandemic. All of that was awesome. You you got a second apartment and turned it into a gym. Like, this was all fucking awesome. So I want you to do that again.
Totally.
Because I think you'll enjoy it, and I want to enjoy it on social media and video.
Yeah.
But I gotta be honest with you, Stavi, if I don't know what your motivation is. Like, I sit here going like, this guy's life is so awesome.
Well, dude, I know what you mean too. And it's just like, it purely comes down to feeling good. Right. And like, I've never been like, I mean, we both, I think, share that, where it's like, look, I think people are much too critical of fat people in our society. And it's like, and everyone's like, you're so unhealthy or whatever. And it's like, look, all my friends are fucking stand-up comics, right? Yeah. And I was just on one of my buddies' podcast. We're talking, and and it's like we're all like, oh, you got to take care of yourself, man. And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, I'm like, I know, but you do too. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm in great shape. But it's like, yeah, but you're fucking drunk every night. Like, let's see what our livers look like, pal. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then you have friends that are just like so insanely mentally ill that you're like, dude, you don't have a handle on reality. And okay, you look pretty good and you're going to be, it's like, but it's like, we're all unhealthy. Like, our society, American society, it's like, everyone's got something going on, and people are very comfortable telling fat people they need to get healthier, right?
Yeah.
But no one says shit to like a fucking drunk, or like unless they lose their kids, it's cool to be a drunk, or it's cool to, whatever.
Yeah.
And so but it does come down to, like, at a certain point, it is about health. And it's like, look, I just didn't feel good. I just don't feel healthy.
Yeah.
And that's really all it comes down to. It's like, when the hangovers are 3 days long, and it's just like, it's just like, it's a mixture of age, but it's also like, I'm not old. I'm 33 still. Like, yeah, I'm not 20, but it's like, it shouldn't be to the point where I need to like nap off, I just sleep all day or whatever. So
that I understand. I recall vividly. And I even do, like, now I go like, I remember when I had better cardio, when my focus was, when I was hyper focused on cardio, I remember I actually had more energy. My energy's a little lower. So like, I completely understand just in those terms of like, yeah, 10, 20 pounds makes a difference. I put a fucking 35-pound kettlebell in a backpack and tried to go on a hike and was like, this is fucking psychotic.
Yeah,
35
absolutely.
pounds. And I used to weigh literally 10 times that,
right. Like oh my God.
In just excess weight.
Yeah.
I used to carry around 300 pounds
totally
of excess weight. So the amount of fatigue I would experience was exponential from that standpoint.
Right. And your joints and shit, your knees, I'm having like kind of pain, and so it's that kind of shit,
Yeah. The health for me, like, some people smoke cigarettes and I'm only envious of them.
Right.
That's my reaction to people smoking cigarettes is envy. There's not a moment where I'm like, look at that person. He's
right.
You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to do that, we should judge everybody in a car and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
living in dirty cities, and like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's so many metrics by which
100%.
health can be measured.
And yeah, and there's so many dickheads that hide behind like, oh, I'm just worried about you. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a
Yeah.
fucking asshole.
Yeah.
You feel superior to me because you won a little bit of a genetic lottery that I didn't. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or
And
the ways
you're
that,
winning
yeah.
in one metric. By the
Yes,
way,
yes, yeah.
you might be smoking cigarettes and
Right.
drinking every night and have high cholesterol and all
Right.
this other shit that we just don't see.
Exactly, exactly. But
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what's important because it's like in terms of like body composition or what I want to look like, it's like, bro, season 1, Tony Soprano. I'm trying to go from season 6 to season 1. That's it. I'm not
Right.
trying to look smaller than that. You know what I mean? I always want to be a fucking big guy, and I just want to like, just feel a little better. Like even where I was at the beginning of the tour, like I just look at pictures and it's like I look pretty much the same. Just my face is a little less full and like the belly's a little smaller. And it's like, and again, it's also like another way fat people get fucked is like, honestly, it's hard to look cool when you cross the 2X Rubicon. The clothing at 3X is tough to get right. So it's
Yeah.
like I like to look cool. I like to dress kind of fun, whatever. And it's like that's also part of the job of like being just it's hard, man. It's hard to like you go like I'm sure you experienced this when you were in the big and tall days, but it's like they make like 4 shirts for fat guys.
Yeah.
And it's like you walk around and you see a fat guy and you're like, I own that shirt. I own that polo. It's like they have like it's all whatever DXL has, we're at the mercy. We're at the mercy of the DXL designers that summer, that season.
Yeah.
There's no other game in town. So
I will say I was fat in the days prior to DXL existing.
oh wow.
Prior to there being, I don't think you could get extra large in a Target when I was a kid. So I had the big and tall man shop. And if my mom had to buy me a suit for a funeral, we had Rochester in Beverly Hills. Yes. That was it. Those were the 2 stores I could buy clothes at.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm somebody who went trans in 2022, who's got all the surgeries, and you were just making it work.
Yeah, I was at Stingy Lulu's in the 90s singing songs to people. Like,
damn, dude, that's crazy. Yeah, but that's so. I guess we've come to some extent, but it's like, but yeah, man. I mean, that's where I'm at with the whole thing of just like, I just I got to do it, and it's gonna be fun. Yeah. That's the other thing. It is fun. Like it's legitimately fun. Being in the gym is fun, and the other thing to recognize, I think, for other people listening to this, because and something I was cognizant of when I was listening to the other podcast with you and Nick was like, we're also people with bizarre lives. Like that's the other thing, right? I think this could really work for me because this is how my life is organized. I have a couple months where I'm really working constantly, right? Like the tour was really brutal and I had a lot of shit to do. And I was also working on a bunch of other projects. And it's like, and you know how it is when you're trying to get something made, it's like you have to just work really hard and 80% of that shit doesn't happen. And you go through, but then you also just have full months or even 6 months, or you could even afford to take a year off potentially if the way certain things break. And so that's another thing to keep in mind for the people listening. It's like, it's also important to like, this is what works because of how my life is organized. But I think the general principles of it could, and just like you were saying, it's like, it's different for you, right? For you, it's like family vacations and you're in a different place where the swings don't have to be as extreme because your baseline is a lot better. And
I want to say something to that point too, though. Mm-hmm. The way you're addressing it is a real important factor here. Because I think the problem I had for so long was when I'd address it, I would go like, I have 2 months to lose every pound I have to lose.
Right.
So I'm gonna do the hardest, most extreme thing possible. And so those swings were so violent and so hard on my system. Right. And I think that in this diet culture that we just exist in, for better or worse, it is what it is. I think a lot of the solutions being given to people are really extreme.
Yeah.
And so like, when I think about what you're doing, like you learned a bunch doing it. You went off, you put a lot of it into practice in quote unquote real life or in a different version of your real life. Every time you do that, you're going to take more and more away from it and have better habits and all of that. But if you're going away to do something, like if somebody's listening to this and going like, yeah, I'm not going to be so hard on myself, but their diet is, I'm just going to drink protein shakes 3 times a day as
Right.
diet. I think that can, because then every time you think of it or you go back to it, it's really, really hard. Whereas I know for sure what you're doing isn't really, really hard. It's actually pleasant.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, I mean, I will say like, it's like, I feel like I maybe let it go a little. I would have loved to have started this process 2 months earlier and to have had the like, to have the, whatever, like just for simplicity's sake, I guess the gaining, the not quite, I won't call it bulking without lifting a single, I was bulking without lifting a single weight. I was getting a head start on bulking. I would have liked that to be a little shorter, but yeah, I think, and to give you credit though, it's like the only reason I can even have this feeling about it is because of that conversation and thinking of it in those ways. Because I honestly, before that, I really was beating myself up, and I really was like, "You're a fucking idiot! Like you let it go too far. You said you'd never let this happen." That it was like, but I think that's a real mistake to look at it as like I have made the final change that I'll ever have to make in my life. That's naive too. It's like that's not how it works. And thinking of
No.
it cyclically makes it so much easier. And the reality is I've been on that cycle without even fucking realizing it. This
Yeah.
isn't the first time, right? Like I did this in college when I was like before I had all like the self-esteem that I've developed when I was like a fucking kid. I'm 19 and I've gained a lot of weight in college because of it's easy. And it's like, again, food is my addiction. And you're in a fucking dining hall. The freshman 15 was like the freshman 85 for me. You know what I mean? And like, and then I lose a bunch of weight and, oh, I get a girlfriend and like, I feel a little better. And then it's like, I'm depressed. At that time, I didn't realize it, but I was depressed because I'd quit stand up and I was trying to make school work and I was trying to just be in a like relationship that the girl was really sweet, but I just wasn't ready for something super serious. And I was trying to force myself to fit into this. And got depressed, gained a bunch of weight back again. And then quit that, quit school. I didn't quit school. School ended, got a job, started really worrying about stand up, lost it again, and it was just, and then it was like move to New York, get depressed, gain it back. My life starts going better, lose a bunch of weight, get another girlfriend, then I got a foot injury, gain a bunch of weight. And it was just like pandemic happens, gain a bunch of weight, lose it back. And it's like, I've been doing this. I've been doing exactly what you described with that cycle. And but I was beating myself up every time. And then you look back and you're like, well, I guess to get to how we started the podcast where it's like, I don't have scientific data, but it's like, I do have a life's worth of anecdotal data. And it's like, it tracks with this thing. And instead of like fighting it, let's manage it better and realize that looking back at my life, I've been doing this without meaning it. And I've been doing it in ways that probably are a little harmful to me. And if I could just do it in a way where I'm like, get more cognizant, healthier about it, and just understand that it's like, my habits are going to go. Like if I let my hair down, I can get into addict mode fast, but let's stop that. Let's not stop the fun little thing. Let's just fucking know to block it off, because that's always the problem.
Right.
It's not the initial, it is not the initial going crazy. It's not the initial having fun. It's that you think that that's not going to lead you to more destructive choices later on. You think you finally got a handle on it because, hey, that wasn't so bad. Sure, I gained 10 pounds, but I was having the time of my life. And then you come home and you don't get back on you don't dedicate yourself again. And I think that's the problem. And at least for me, right? Like that's always been my problem. I can't speak to everyone. So I just think I need that. I need the counterbalance, and that it's like life is this cycle. And then there's also the in between that I think is just maintenance, right? And maintenance can be pretty easy and pretty fun if you just like, and then also there's life, right? Like those are, plan it around your life, plan it like I said, these cycles are gonna happen when I'm on tour because it makes the most fucking sense.
Yeah.
But now that I don't have anything, I'm just gonna write. And I'm gonna fucking buy chicken. I'm gonna be marinating a shit ton of Costco chicken breasts. You better believe that, brother.
Yeah. I can't wait to
That's what
watch it.
my
I love
yeah,
those
yeah.
fucking images and
Thank
videos,
you,
dude.
thank you. I think I'm gonna try and be a little more, have some more workout stuff out there, have some more cooking stuff. I'm also doing a lot on my YouTube channel in general, so I think there'll be more of it. But yeah, it truly was eye opening for me in a really great way.
Yeah.
So
And I think for the quote unquote normal person or somebody who has a 9 to 5 job, and maybe every year at the holidays they go, it's not going to happen to me this time, and then they go home for the
yeah,
holidays, and then they wake up January 1st and they want to kill themselves, or you know
right,
what I mean, like it's like, well, how did
right,
it happen? I swore it wouldn't happen.
right.
Because I've been there, dude. I'm not going to Carl's Jr., and I've had this as a mantra, and I'm in the fucking Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
driveway going, I'm not going to do this. And then I'm fucking eating food going, how is this happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
like, why not just go? I'm going to go. I know what's going to happen because it's happened every other time. I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm not going to want to kill myself
Yeah,
January 1st, but I know I'm going to have to do a program, and
of
that's okay
course.
too. I think
Exactly.
it's a healthier perspective. I really do.
Totally. I fully agree. And it's just like, and you know what? It's like everyone makes fun of that thing, but of like how the gyms are packed, but it's like those people those people are probably happy because
Right.
they're like, yeah, I got fucking and not even fat as shit. I gained 8 pounds because I had a bunch of pie, and then I was on the elliptical for a month, and then I went back to my life and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Everyone mocks them, but it's like those motherfuckers got it figured out.
They got it dialed. Yeah. When I see thin people on January 1st in the
Yeah.
gym, I'm like, what'd you do
Yeah.
to wind up here? You're
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
It's so
Exactly.
true. Okay, Stavi, before you go, I want to
Yes.
ask you, Come Town is done.
Yes. Come Town's over.
Will you be a constant guest host on the Adam Friedman show?
On the Adam Friedman show. No, I think the boys are going to do their own thing, but I'm excited for, it was just one of those things where it's like, I just, I'm excited to do my own. Honestly, it's kind of similar to this kind of weight loss thing. And this, like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I want to live my life. I want like something that's sustainable. Right. And it's like, as fun as the show was, I just want, I like to do my own thing. You want to be in control of your own thing. So I'll have my own, I'm working on a couple different projects, and it's all love. I'm rooting for the Adam Friedland show. I think it's probably going to get bought. It's going to win multiple Emmys. I think it's going to turn into the next late night show. It's going to be great.
Yes.
But in a weird way, it is kind of like, it's a little the way weight loss after gaining a bunch of weight is daunting, but in a good way. It's exciting. It's like, I want to do this again. As fun as the show was and as funny as it was, I think artistically it had gotten, none of us were that excited to do it.
Sure.
And it's like, it's exciting for me to be like, yeah, I just gave up a lot of money and it was probably stupid. But it's like, that feeling when you have like $100,000, if you put down $100,000 on roulette and you're like, if I lose this, I'm going to fucking feel bad. But if I win, I'm going to feel good,
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm excited to be like, I'm essentially trying to make it in show business twice, which is fucking stupid. I understand that, but I kind of want to make it on my own terms a little more. Right. Where it's
Yeah.
like, the show was really fun, and we were, I was 25, 26 when it started, and, or 26, 27, I forget, but it's like, we didn't know what we were doing. We kind of backed our way into it, and it was really fun, and we made some really funny stuff. But it's like, now it's like, but I just don't think, it's like, you don't want to be the come town guy when you're 50. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
when I'm a grandpa, I don't want to be like, okay, okay, I'm going to go meet my granddaughter, but let me just go finish off the riffing about what my dad's balls taste like. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that comedy is very important. And I think saying the stupidest shit and the most offensive shit in a way where you're clearly showing that these are dumb ideas that only a dumb person would have, I think that's very important comedy. But I also think it's a little bit of a young man's game.
Sure.
And, but more than that, it's like, I'm just excited to fucking, it might be stupid, but it's like, it is addict behavior. It is gambler behavior where I'm like, let's see if I could just do it on my own. As you know, as much as I loved working with those guys and everything, and as good of a, thing that we had, it's just like, it's a stupid decision that is very exciting to me,
Yeah. My wife has caught me listening to you guys a couple of times, and she is always just appalled.
Yeah.
And like, what on earth is this? And I say,
Yeah.
you don't understand. This is a slumber party when I was 13.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
it's it touches my soul in that way.
Totally. And it's fun. Look, we had an awesome run, but it's just like, imagine if like, it's basically like, imagine if like Boy Meets World was still going on for you. You know what I mean? If they're like, hey man,
at some point you got to pull the ripcord. Yeah, no, you have to. I've had enough. I'm tapping out. Let me see if there's another show.
If you had to do it for 40 years, and it's like, whatever. I enjoyed it, but it's just like, and it's funny because it's like, I guess it's like anytime you go into something creative, you basically, I don't know if you felt this way because it feels like you were acting as a kid, and it's like, I mean, obviously you're fucking awesome at it, but it also is the kind of thing where, like, it's not like you ever decided not to have a regular job. You just were always acting. Whereas for me, it was like, well, the smart choice would be to go be a lawyer or do something. And instead I was like, I'm going to go do open mics. And we've gotten to a weird position with this show where it's like the smart choice would be to just do the show forever and just take the paycheck. But I also feel like I didn't want to phone it in forever. And I want to go fucking just try and do something. I don't know, man. It was just
no,
like,
it makes sense. Look,
yeah.
I've played like Sweet and Dumb.
Yes.
Literally 100 times.
Yeah.
And I can't do that anymore.
Of
like
course.
that's and I've been
you're on the
listen,
you're on the sweet and dumb Mount Rushmore, dude.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done. I tap out of Sweet and Dumb. And that is something where I like, I could do a TV show where I play Sweet and Dumb, but I would
get the checks. You could get the checks rolling in easy right now, dude. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, listen, I'm part of what I'm doing is I want to fucking write movies, and I got a ruthless mercenary character ready for you, dude.
I'm in. I can't wait. I can't wait. As long as he's also kind of he could be mean and dumb.
Mean and dumb,
yeah.
Don't worry. Everything I write, there will be a very dumb element to it. It'll be running through the whole thing. But
perfect.
Yeah, bro. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I just want to say one more time, go watch the special for anybody listening on YouTube. I'm really proud of it. I self-financed it, cost me 40 grand out of my own pocket. And I'm trying to make that YouTube money back. So fucking go watch. Don't skip the ads, folks. watch
the ads.
Stavros, you can skip them. Just watch the thing. And then also one last time, Odyssey Strength, my little brother, he really is an insanely gifted trainer. And honestly, dude, if you're ever in Maryland, please let me know.
Yeah, I'll come work out.
Yeah, it would be awesome. But thanks again, buddy.
Thank you.